Jesus was busy ministering to people, healing the sick, casting out demons, preaching good news to the poor. He was going from town to town, helping whomever he could help. And he would often draw away to desolate places in the middle of ministering to people so he could pray, so that he could align himself with God above. And when he would come back from these times of prayer, he would go back to ministering to people, showing them compassion and mercy. And a leper that was nearby one day in one of these towns that Jesus was ministering to had heard about this Jesus. He had heard of the Jesus who was healing the sick. He had heard of this Jesus that seemed to have a direct connection to God above. And he decided for himself that he was going to go to Jesus and ask for healing for this incurable disease. Now, the leper didn't just go to Jesus. The leper actually falls on his knees before the Christ, begging Jesus, please heal me. And that's when this story starts to get tense, because lepers are not supposed to do that. Lepers are outcasts. And in fact, if they were to approach someone, they were to cover their face and shout, unclean, unclean. But the leper doesn't do that. The leper knows that God is from above, that Jesus is from God, and that Jesus is now on scene, and that Jesus can heal him. And he just begs Jesus, please heal me, please make me whole. And if there were people standing around that day that happened to see this, they probably would have stepped back for fear of contracting leprosy themselves. But Jesus doesn't step back. Jesus actually takes a step forward and lays a hand on the leper. And that made things really tense, because what Jesus has just done is break ceremonial law, break religious law. He wasn't keeping the letter of the law. But Jesus knew that having compassion on this leper, it wasn't going to break his relationship with God, because that's not how God works. And in fact, Jesus was keeping the spirit of the law by laying his hand on the leper, because Jesus was showing love. He was showing compassion, which is the spirit of the law. And Jesus looks at the leper and says, I'll heal you. Be made whole. And in a funny turn of events, Jesus says, don't tell anyone about what I've just done for you. Just go to the priest and, according to the law of Moses, make an offering up and let the priest know what's happened. But I wonder if Jesus says this in jest, because there's no way this leper was going to keep his mouth shut. And in fact, he didn't. He went and he started telling everyone that he saw, Jesus made me whole. It's almost like Jesus took away one infection and gave him another infection. It's like Jesus infected this leper with hope. He infected him with love and mercy, and it led to hope.